Peace, brothers and sisters in humanity. Today we're going to talk about music. Is music haram? Okay, for anyone to say music or anything is haram, okay, you have to go to the Quran and find it when God or Allah says haram. It actually uses the word haram, right? That's the only haram there is in the Quran. There's other things that are advised against, right? God advised us not to actually do them because they're bad for you and the people around you, okay? Anything that comes to hurting other people is either haram or God advised us not to do it, right? Okay, that's the only way, okay? That means when there is the word haram next to anything, that means that thing is haram. And if God said la, that means don't, and there is no haram word next to it, that means it's not haram, it's advice against it, okay? Like alcohol, when he said, and gambling, he said to avoid them, okay? That means he advice against them, and we know what alcohol and gambling does to people. Now, because obviously there's a lot of Arab lyrics that says music is haram. Obviously the Sunnis and say it's haram, even the Shia saying it's haram. So I'm gonna wait for this video to show me where the haram is in the Quran, and because there's a lot of Arabs, I'm doing it in English, so I'm not going to put an Arab person talk and then I have to translate it, and some people think I'm lying or something or changing the words. So I'm not. That's what I found anyway, because they all think the same thing. So exactly what this video is showing, that's what they think. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for this guy to explain to me why music is haram.
Music addicts. They eat, sleep, and repeat while listening to music. Their room is full of pictures of their favorite singers. They dress like them, talk like them, and act like them. They are willing to pay hundreds of dollars to go to satanic concerts and jump around like a bunch of...
Okay, now, I didn't ask you if you go to satanic shows is haram, or anyone, if someone wants to dress like someone, has a haram anyway. You want to spend your money to go and see a show, has a haram. You know what I mean? Now you're bringing up all this, I'm saying, all these things and mixing it with music, and then you're coming up with all this bullshit. Yeah, basically. Alright? But no. Tell me where God says it's haram. Don't go around the bush.
monkeys, and pigs, all for the sake of having fun. But they are doing nothing but drilling a hole through their hearts, to the point where whenever Quran is played around them, they start to feel tightness in their chest, their heart.
What? No, that makes no sense, honestly. What's got music to do with your heart is tight? And why are you telling me all this shit? Just tell me where it's haram, alright?
So full of Drizzy's albums that there is no room left for the Quran. But here comes Muhammad.
So if I listen to music, I ain't got no time for the Quran. So you must have visited every person in the world and you actually judged them and you come up with that. Oh, how? Do you know what I mean? How'd you come up with that? Let's carry on. So I'm not going to listen to music because it's haram, because all music apparently is satanic. All people that listen to music, they're going to dress up like the musicians, they're going to do the same thing as them, and all this general shit, right? Which is wrong, 100% wrong. Teenagers do this shit. You don't see 50-year-old dressed up like some of them dress up like Elvis, but how many people like Elvis dress up like Elvis? Or do you see me dress up like Eminem or something? I don't understand, you know what I'm saying? People do that as a teenagers because they don't know. You just follow, you know that. Teenagers like to have fun, you don't understand anything. So it doesn't mean that some people go to satanic music. So it doesn't mean everyone is doing it in the world. 8 billion people are doing it in the world. What's got to do with haram though? The music is haram, right? Satanic music is haram, yeah? But music in general, why is it haram? Come on, tell me.
halal Adonis. He is a pious Muslim who strictly follows the Quran and Sunnah. Muhammad understands that music is just one of Shaitan's tools that are used to turn him away from the remembrance of his Lord. So he fills his time listening to beautiful Quran recitations by Ismail and
So now you're making Atamam music. So we're not going to listen to music. So we're going to sit all day listening to you guys singing the Quran without understanding it. You're actually singing it. So God sent us a book to sing it. Alright? Basically to sing it. That's what it is. Apparently, God sent a message for us to sing the message. Not understanding what's in it. Alright? We don't think it's actually full. We don't actually think it's complete. We don't actually think anything. It's just that when we sing it, it sounds good. So you made Quran into music. So that's why you're comparing the Quran to music. Otherwise, why would you be comparing this to this? Do you know what I'm saying? So you're comparing the Quran to music. While the Quran has nothing to do with music. It's a message that you should live with. Alright? I'm not gonna go there and get the and I'm just saying, go like a science book and start singing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sing a science book, am I? Because it's not for singing. The Quran is the same. It's not for singing, but you're singing it. And that's halal, yeah? Okay, let's carry on.
as we know,
Now we're talking. Now you came up with a verse to tell me the music is haram. Okay? That's what you're trying to do. Let's listen, just to make sure that's what you've done. You came up with this verse and said this is the music and why is it haram. Let's just listen.
Is a form of speech or talk, and the majority of singing nowadays is idle, and it's about irrelevant, worldly, haram topics such as zina, haram relationships, drugs, and crimes. And the act of listening to such idle talk will have an effect on people's hearts and will lead them astray. As Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, said, the interpretation of the Sahaba and Tabi'un that idle talk refers to singing is sufficient. This was reported in Sahih Islam.
So the Sahaba, after the Sahaba said this verse is enough for them to say music is haram, right? Now you brought up all these bad things like bad talks and idol worshipping and shit and things like that, and you mixed it with music and you said haram. Listen, right? Whether you're talking rubbish, you're hurting people with your words or use bad words, whether you use it in music or outside the music, is still not a good thing to do, right? Whether you take drugs while you're listening to music and when you're not listening to music, it's the same thing. If you talk about zina, right, that you've done zina, inside the music or outside the music, it's the same thing, all right? The music doesn't add something to it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Anything bad you brag about inside the music, with the music or without the music, it's the same thing, right? So why are you mixing music with other things? Do you understand? Someone is singing about evil, singing about Satan. I just don't listen to him. Really. I'm not going to say he's... I just don't listen to him because I know what God said. Yeah, I don't need anyone to tell me what God said. Right? I'm saying I don't need that. But now, let's go back to the verse because this is what's important to me. This is what I need to know. Right? This is what I'm going to come and talk to you about.
The beautiful Quran recitations by Ismail Anuri.
Now, listen to the verse, yeah? Okay, now let's have a nice picture so we can just...
Singing is a form of speech or...
Okay, now he says all that. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, now. He's got another verse. Let's listen.
أفمن هذا الحديث تعجبون وتضحكون ولا تبكون.
Now this verses has nothing to do with it. God is talking about the Quran and he's bringing up these verses that has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. That's why these people believe the Quran came down to sing it. Not to understand it, not to study it, nothing. It's just to sing it. Right? Now I've got verses, right? To prove that your verse, whatever you're using, it's nothing to do with music or whatever you're thinking, right? So let's listen. Their proof is Surah Luqman, chapter 31, verse 6. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَيَتَّخِذُهَا هُزُوًا أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. In English, among the people, there are those who uphold baseless hadith and to divert others from the path of God without knowledge and take it in vain, thus have incurred a shameful retributions. That means, look, even when you read it in Arabic or English, has nothing to do with music or music instruments or after God said, right? After God said, right? What the word hadith here means, right? After God said in chapter 55, verse 1, right? Surah Al-Zumar. الله نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا مثانيا بها متشابها مثانية تقشعر منه الجلود. God has revealed herein the best hadith, a book that is consistent. Listen. The hadith here is the book. It's the book of Allah. It's the Quran, right? It's to do with the Quran. And I'll prove it to you. How is it from the Quran, right? Let's go to Surah Fussilat, chapter 41, verse 26. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَا تَسْمَعُوا لِهَذَا الْقُرْآنِ وَالْغَوْا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ. Right? See, God said, لَهْوَ الْحَدِيث. And now here, what do the disbelievers do? Those who disbelieve said, do not listen to this Quran and distort it that you may win. See, God called the Quran the best hadith. And here, the disbelievers saying, you take the piss out of the Quran, distort it, right? Make fun of it. And that's what that lahw al-hadith is. To hide the truth. Do you understand? لِيَضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Do you know what I mean? To actually divert others. So by him taking a piss at the Quran, mock the Quran, change his words, translate, interpret it like you interpret it, you can make a halal haram and a haram halal. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Lahw al-hadith is this what you're doing. Do you understand? Because the hadith here is the Quran, right? And God said, listen, those who disbelieve said, do not listen to this Quran and distort it that you may win. That's what God is saying, lahw al-hadith. Not singing. It has nothing to do with singing. Right? Hadith has nothing to do with singing. Lahw al-hadith has nothing to do with singing. And now, we're going to go for two more verses. Right? So God what says here. Okay? Chapter 4, verse 140, Surah An-Nisa. وَقَدْ نَزَّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الْكِتَابِ أَنْ إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يَكْفُرُ بِهَا وَيُسْتَهْزَأُ بِهَا فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. He has instructed you in the book, if you hear God's revelations being mocked and ridiculed, you shall not sit with them unless they delve in another hadith. You heard that. Al-An'am, chapter 6, verse 68. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. If you see those who mock our revelations, you shall avoid them until they delve in another hadith. This is verse after verse telling you what lahw al-hadith is. Alright? This is what lahw al-hadith. Music is not haram and God didn't advise us against it. You understand? It's what you sing. If you take your clothes off when you're making music or without making music, that's what God advised you not to do. It doesn't make it worse when you do it with music. The fact remains, you've done an act that most people don't really like anyway. If you want to sell your body, this is what we see nowadays. This is what we see nowadays. It doesn't mean that some people are doing it, so we're going to forbid the whole thing. We don't. We just don't listen to the stupid side of it. But I can listen to music, I can dance, I can do whatever the hell I want, as long as God didn't say it's haram or advise me against it. Music heals wounds, man. Music make people happy. It's part of a human being. It's art. Some people being cured by music, mentally cured by music. Do you understand? So how can you forbid something that's actually good for people? When just some people use it in a bad way. As I said, you can't forbid guns because some people use it to kill. Because most people use it for protection. You can't do that. You can't come up with a verse from the top of your head without understanding it, but you're actually singing it, right? And come up with music is haram. And then you go to Hadith, what's what the Prophet said. I don't believe in that at all, and you know that. Because I won't believe that the Prophet will forbid something outside the Quran. He can't do that. He's not God. Only God can do that. Even he says, تعالوا أتلوا ما حرم الله عليكم. Come here, I'm going to recite what God forbidden for you. He can't even say this is haram and this is halal. He has to say that this is what God, come, I'll tell you what, I'll recite to you what God forbidden. He didn't say I forbid, I forbid. He can't do that. He's a messenger. He will not talk outside the message. He will not talk outside the message. He will not explain the message. Because the only one who can explain it is God. All it takes for a person to actually, with an open mind and an open heart, who wants really to know the truth, to study this book. That's all it is. Peace out.